The family, they just have a lot of family drama. I don't know. It's like a cursed family or something. I hate to say that, but like it's just a lot of stuff happens in that family.
The family, they just have a lot of family drama, one commentator observed, attempting to encapsulate the sprawling, multi-layered saga engulfing Blake Lively and her increasingly embattled public image. I don't know, it's like a cursed family or something. I hate to say that, but like, it's just a lot of stuff happens in that family. Indeed, the seemingly charmed existence of Blake Lively, the epitome of Hollywood grace and wholesome relatability, has imploded in a spectacular and deeply personal fashion. Her carefully constructed public facade, once radiating warmth and approachability, has finally crumbled, revealing a ruthless streak so toxic and deeply ingrained that even her own relatives, those closest to her, have reportedly slammed the door shut on any semblance of a relationship.
Anna, what does it mean to be working with Blake again?
Oh, we're talking about you all day.
Oh my God, I'm gonna take it.
Come on! Get it in selfie mode! Be prepared!
Blake Lively's meticulously cultivated, wholesome public facade, the image of a gleaming Hollywood success story, has been years in the making. A celebrated actress, lauded for her impeccable style and charming talk show presence, a seemingly devoted wife to Ryan Reynolds, the epitome of the witty and self-deprecating leading man Lively appeared to have it all. Endorsement deals flowed in, magazine covers clamored for her presence, high-profile friendships cemented her A-list status, and a carefully managed public persona radiated warmth, relatability, and an almost aspirational level of domestic bliss.
This is some family drama. You don't do this. You don't do this in front of the scenes. This is not right, okay?
But in the cutthroat world of Hollywood, where image is currency and reputation is fragile, an unscathed reputation is a myth, a fleeting illusion. Now, the veneer has cracked, shattered in a spectacular and deeply public way, centering on a conflict involving not just Blake and another actor, the filmmaker Justin Baldoni, but also, and perhaps most damningly, Baldoni's tight-knit family, led by his outspoken father, Sam Baldoni.
We appeared to have all this money, or we appeared to be rich.
It's painful. It is painful.
What began as a simmering legal standoff, a behind-the-scenes dispute between co-stars and collaborators, has escalated into a full-blown public spectacle, a Hollywood melodrama playing out in real time for the world to witness and dissect. The saga has revealed not only a deeply fractured industry where alliances shift and loyalties are tested, but also a star, Blake Lively, who seems to have wildly and perhaps fatally overplayed her hand, miscalculated her influence, and underestimated the power of truth in the age of social media scrutiny.
And so despite all of the resentment, to me, at the end of the day, that's what it means to be men.
Originally, few outside of Hollywood's inner circles realized the true extent of the animosity simmering beneath the surface between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. Industry insiders whispered of a professional relationship soured beyond repair on the set of their joint project, It Ends With Us. Rumors, initially vague and unsubstantiated, surfaced of creative disagreements, clashes of vision, and escalating tensions behind the scenes.
We're women, so we can just lie and cheat and steal our way in to control these big movies. I mean, how disturbing is this to you?
Blake Lively, it was whispered, was reportedly demanding script changes, asserting an unprecedented level of creative control, while Justin Baldoni, the film's director and driving force, desperately tried to maintain his artistic vision, his original intent for the project. The tension, initially confined to closed sets and hushed conversations, inevitably seeped into the press, manifesting as veiled gossip, anonymous sources, and carefully worded blind items hinting at a brewing storm.
But we never talked about it. I was suffering. We never talked about anything. You're my dad, and I was having resentment for all the stuff we don't talk about.
Lively, in these early whispers, was often portrayed as controlling and forceful, a demanding diva asserting her A-list status, while Baldoni was often characterized as easygoing but quietly resentful, a talented filmmaker struggling against the micromanagement and creative interference of a powerful star. However, these initial whispers were largely dismissed as typical Hollywood drama, the inevitable clashes of ego and vision that often plague film productions.
is what you're doing right now. You were nervous. You texted me last night. You came here. You knew it wasn't going to be easy. We're going to talk about stuff. And you showed up anyways.
It wasn't until the legal documents surfaced, the explosive lawsuit and countersuit filed in the cold, unforgiving language of legalese, that fans and industry observers alike truly realized the magnitude of what was at stake, the depth of the animosity, and the potential for irreparable damage. Blake Lively, in her initial legal filings, alleged inappropriate behavior on Baldoni's part, a vague yet loaded accusation that hinted at a far more sinister narrative.
I am a huge fan of you.
Oh.
Your movies are so inspiring.
If everyone can tag Justin Baldoni to this video, it would mean the world to me.
I have been trying to reach out to you for the longest. I have everything of you.
Justin Baldoni's camp, however, countered with a barrage of allegations of their own, accusing Blake Lively of employing unscrupulous tactics to systematically elbow him out of his own project, to seize creative control, and to effectively hijack a film that was, by all accounts, his passion project, his artistic vision brought to life. The media, ever hungry for any whiff of star-studded drama, predictably latched onto the burgeoning scandal with unrestrained gusto. Tabloid headlines screamed of Hollywood power struggles, set sabotage, and bitter feuds, hinting at a behind-the-scenes battle royale for creative control and industry dominance.
But everyone's seeing through it. They're seeing through the BS. And, you know, at the end of the day, they're the ones who are seeking gag orders against Baldoni from releasing information.
Headlines hinted at Lively, pushing for new producers, new directors, and even a rewrite of the storyline, painting a picture of a star wielding her influence with ruthless efficiency, systematically dismantling Baldoni's vision and replacing it with her own. The narrative emerging in the tabloid press suggested that Lively was effectively sidelining Baldoni from a project he had passionately shepherded from the beginning, casting him adrift in his own creative endeavor, a victim of Hollywood's ruthless power dynamics.
Co-star Justin Baldoni calling it outrageously insulting and playing into every sexist trope. The illustration depicts Lively using a slingshot to fire a cell phone at Baldoni.
Then came the moment that changed everything. The unexpected intervention that transformed a simmering legal dispute into a full-blown Hollywood scandal. Justin Baldoni's father, Sam Baldoni, entered the arena. Sam Baldoni, a figure previously unknown to most fans and even casual industry observers, stepped into the limelight, not with a carefully crafted PR statement or a legalistic rebuttal, but with a raw, unfiltered, and deeply personal social media post that ignited a firestorm of controversy.
A spokesperson for Lively condemned the magazine, saying the Hollywood Reporter should be ashamed of itself and criticizing its article for downplaying documented examples of sexual harassment and retaliation as cultural misunderstanding.
Yet, despite the sensationalist headlines and the growing online chatter, most casual observers initially chalked it up to Hollywood drama, dismissing the escalating conflict as just another instance of celebrity ego clashes and behind-the-scenes power plays. Few at this early stage truly grasped that a hurricane was quietly building, that the simmering legal standoff was about to explode into a full-blown public spectacle, revealing not just professional disagreements, but deeply personal animosities and potentially career-ending accusations.
It's part of being in the public eye. She's just used to being Hollywood's golden girl, and she had such thin skin that after having a couple negative things happen to her for a month, she had to blame him. She decided to blame him, and boy, did she open up a hornet's nest and learn, be careful what you wish for, because now you've got the fight you asked for and you're not winning it.
You know, at the end of the day, they're the ones who are seeking gag orders against Baldoni from releasing information, whereas his team is saying, nope, let's put out everything. Every single text message.
While many Hollywood parents, particularly those of celebrities embroiled in scandal, prefer to remain discreetly in the background, issuing carefully worded statements through publicists and lawyers, Sam Baldoni evidently reached a breaking point. Witnessing the narrative skewing heavily in Blake Lively's favor, observing the relentless online chatter and the increasingly negative portrayal of his son, Sam Baldoni opted for a far more direct, far more personal, and far more impactful approach.
So essentially, every single thing that she's claimed against him has been disproved.
Instead of convening a dramatic press conference or issuing a boilerplate press release, Sam Baldoni, with a savvy understanding of the digital landscape, leverage social media, specifically short-form video platforms like TikTok and Instagram Reels, to deliver what can only be described as a precision strike on Lively's credibility. His weapon of choice? A simple yet devastatingly effective social media post that spoke volumes without uttering a single direct accusation.
She helped for the screening. She made him and his whole family go down to the basement.
Go down to the basement during the premiere of his movie.
The video Sam posted was disarmingly simple yet devastating. It displayed a bulletin board, seemingly homemade, filled with glowing words describing Justin's character. Compassionate, focused, respectful, generous. It felt at first glance like a father's heartfelt show of support, a public affirmation of his son's character amidst a storm of negative allegations. But the kicker was the caption, the carefully chosen words that transformed a father's proud gesture into a calculated act of public condemnation. In a world full of Blakes and Ryans, be a Justin.
Because Blake Lively had alienated the entire cast against him. She had convinced everyone that he was this monster, this terrible person.
Despite never naming Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds directly, the target of Sam Baldoni's social media precision strike was crystal clear, undeniably aimed at Hollywood's golden couple. It was a remarkably pointed comment, laced with subtle yet unmistakable venom, wrapped in just enough ambiguity to spark intense discussions online, to ignite the already smoldering embers of public speculation.
So she could wield all creative control of the movie and end up getting her final cut of the movie, not Justin Baldoni's. And in the end, that's exactly what happened. He didn't even get to see the final cut of the movie.
Within hours, that single, seemingly innocuous social media post spawned thousands of retweets and stitches, rapidly going viral, dominating TikTok's algorithmic feeds and setting Twitter ablaze with debates over its meaning. For Blake Lively, a master of curated online image and carefully controlled public narrative, this was an unexpected blow. A social media sucker punch delivered not by a tabloid journalist or a rival celebrity, but by the father of the man she was publicly battling.
They're like, I'm so sorry. Like, I know this is your project. I'm sorry we can't show you anything. I mean, for him as well, he instantly had he had an award for advocating for women, something in the realm of feminism.
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, the architects of Hollywood's golden couple image, had meticulously cultivated a public persona of playful banter, charitable generosity, and unwavering marital bliss. Fans adored their playful banter on social media, their carefully staged co-appearances at charity galas, their carefully constructed status as a stable and loving duo in an industry plagued by scandal. For Sam Baldoni to name-check them, even indirectly, to publicly juxtapose their names with his son's in a context dripping with implied criticism, shattered the polished illusions they'd worked so hard to maintain, exposing the cracks beneath the surface gloss.
I mean, now other footage is coming out of Blake Lively admitting, hey, when I get involved with projects, they hire me as the actress, and sometimes I don't really tell them, but I actually want to come in and I want to rewrite it.
And eager to dissect celebrity controversies, ate it up. The comment sections beneath Sam Baldoni's viral post were flooded with heated opinions, with online commentators and armchair detectives dissecting every nuance of the cryptic caption, searching for hidden meanings, and debating the underlying message. Many now questioning if Lively's victimhood was a smokescreen for something else. The online discourse shifted, the narrative subtly turning against Lively, her carefully constructed victim persona beginning to crumble under the weight of public skepticism and Sam Baldoni's pointed social media jab.
And I want to be a producer, and I want to do all of these things. She's literally admitted all of this blatantly. This is just the first time that it's ended up.
How old is Blake Lively, by the way?
30s, I believe.
34.
What had begun as a simple he said, she said dispute between co-workers had suddenly ballooned into a war that threatened to engulf major studios, streaming platforms, and influential figures in film. Hollywood, a deeply interconnected ecosystem of relationships, alliances, and carefully guarded reputations, is deeply interconnected. Directors, actors, producers, and financiers move in overlapping social circles, where reputations matter above almost all else.
While Baldoni counter-sued Lively and her husband Ryan Reynolds for defamation and extortion on Wednesday, Lively filed an amend law complaint stating she was not alone in raising allegation of on-set misconduct.
Once Sam Baldoni's post caught fire, it felt like the entire industry was picking a side, or at least cautiously, waiting on the sidelines to see who'd come out on top. For a brief, fleeting moment, Lively tried to maintain her publicly sweet persona, attempting to weather the storm, to project an image of unwavering composure amidst the swirling controversy. She continued posting curated Instagram shots of family moments, designer outfits, and glimpses of her new entrepreneurial ventures, desperately clinging to the familiar playbook of celebrity damage control.
She used it as an opportunity to promote her alcohol brand, which is insane because many people know that alcoholism really fuels DV.
However, audiences were no longer buying it without question. The carefully curated Instagram feed, once a source of aspirational envy and unwavering fan adoration, now became a battleground for public skepticism and open criticism. Comment sections started to fill with people referencing Sam's post, directly engaging with the controversy, calling her out for perceived hypocrisy or demanding she address the allegations being circulated in the press.
So it was completely tone deaf, and as a response to this, she was getting a lot of hate. In fact, people were posting old interviews of her that weren't even really relevant at all to the movie, but they're just highlighting this is a mean girl. This isn't a good person.
Lively's team, scrambling to contain the rapidly escalating damage, discovered that a single father's social media jab had taken on a life of its own, morphing from a personal expression of paternal support into a viral symbol of public skepticism and industry unease. Just as Blake Lively was desperately attempting to regroup, to regain control of the narrative, The Hollywood Reporter, a venerable, staple publication in the entertainment business, dropped a metaphorical nuke on Lively's image, a devastatingly public act of industry condemnation.
It's part of being in the public eye. She's just used to being Hollywood's golden girl, and she had such thin skin that after having a couple negative things happen to her for a month, she had to blame him. She decided to blame him, and boy, did she open up a hornet's nest and learn, be careful what you wish for, because now you've got the fight you asked for, and you're not winning it.
You know, at the end of the day, they're the ones who are seeking gag orders against Baldoni from releasing information, whereas his team is saying, nope, let's put out everything. Every single text message.
The magazine's February 21st cover, a visually arresting and symbolically charged image, featured a cartoon caricature of her launching a phone via slingshot at Justin Baldoni. The cartoon, a brutal and unflattering portrayal of Lively as a vengeful aggressor, illustrated Lively using a slingshot to fire a cell phone at Baldoni, a symbolic representation of her alleged weaponization of private text messages and her perceived manipulation of the media narrative.
Co-star Justin Baldoni calling it outrageously insulting and playing into every sexist trope. The illustration depicts Lively using a slingshot to fire a cell phone at Baldoni.
A spokesperson for Lively condemned the magazine, issuing a predictably defensive statement, saying The Hollywood Reporter should be ashamed of itself and criticizing its article for downplaying documented examples of sexual harassment and retaliation as cultural misunderstanding. Lively's legal team, doubling down on their aggressive strategy, launched a direct jab at her legal team's intense focus on subpoenaing his text messages, attempting to deflect from the damning cartoon caricature and reframe the controversy as a matter of journalistic ethics and sensitivity to sexual harassment allegations.
I am a huge fan of you.
Oh.
Your movies are so inspiring.
If everyone can tag Justin Baldoni to his video, it would mean the world to me.
I have been trying to reach out to you for the longest. I have everything of you.
That's when Hollywood insiders fully realized the tide was turning. Normally, A-list stars enjoy a protective shield from top-tier outlets, a carefully constructed wall of positive press and industry deference. If The Hollywood Reporter was willing to lampoon Lively in such a brazen way, it implied that many behind-the-scenes power brokers were either tired of her narrative or simply no longer feared blowback from mocking her. The magazine cover, a seemingly innocuous piece of entertainment industry media, became a symbolic declaration of war. A public pronouncement that Blake Lively's carefully constructed reign as Hollywood's untouchable golden girl was, definitively, over. Suddenly, Blake Lively was in full damage control mode, desperately attempting to salvage her rapidly disintegrating public image. It's part of being in the public eye, one commentator observed with cynical understatement. She's just used to being Hollywood's golden girl, and she had such thin skin that after having a couple of negative things happen to her for a month, she had to blame him, the commentary continued, highlighting the perceived fragility of Lively's carefully constructed persona. The suggestion that her golden girl image was built on a foundation of insecurity and a deep-seated need for unwavering public adoration. She decided to blame him, and boy did she open up a hornet's nest. The narrative intensified, painting a picture of Lively as the architect of her own downfall, a star whose desperate attempts at self-preservation had inadvertently amplified the scandal, unleashing a torrent of negative publicity and industry backlash. And learn, you be careful what you wish for, because now you've got the fight you asked for and you're not winning it. The commentary concluded with a note of grim satisfaction, underscoring the perceived karmic justice of Lively's escalating PR nightmare. She fired back at the Hollywood Reporter, labeling its depiction as outrageously insulting, continuing her aggressive PR counteroffensive. And she accused the magazine of belittling claims of SH, attempting to reframe the controversy as a matter of journalistic insensitivity and a betrayal of the Me Too movement. These counterattacks usually work in Hollywood, where top celebrities have entire PR armies to shape the storyline, to spin negative narratives into positive PR opportunities. But the public's reaction was a resounding shrug, a collective dismissal of Lively's desperate attempts at damage control. It was as if the court of public opinion had decided her credibility was shaky enough, that no amount of PR spin, no matter how aggressive or well-funded, could salvage her rapidly eroding reputation. At the core of the skepticism, a repeated mismatch between her allegations against Justin and the mounting evidence contradicting them became undeniable. As each new piece of information surfaced, screenshots, behind-the-scenes anecdotes, text messages, Blake Lively's story developed more holes, the carefully constructed narrative unraveling thread by thread, revealing inconsistencies, exaggerations, and outright fabrications. The Hollywood Reporter's bold move merely capped off the growing consensus that she was no longer the America's sweetheart people believed her to be. The magazine cover serving as a symbolic public declaration of Lively's dethroning, her fall from grace solidified in ink and disseminated across the industry. Around this time, social media detectives, a formidable force in the digital age, started digging into Lively's past interviews and behind-the-scenes stories, meticulously dissecting every public statement, every past controversy, searching for patterns, inconsistencies, and further evidence to support the growing narrative of a manipulative and ruthless star beneath the wholesome facade. One revelation that sent shockwaves through Twitter involved Lively's alleged complaint that Justin Baldoni had invaded her privacy while she was breastfeeding, a deeply personal and potentially damaging accusation that initially garnered significant public sympathy. Soon enough, Justin's camp presented damning text messages where Lively specifically invited him in to rehearse lines, casually mentioning that she was breastfeeding but insisting it was no issue. The leaked text messages, irrefutable evidence directly contradicting Lively's public narrative, betrayed those who had initially rallied to her defense. The assumption that something might have happened gave way to she might be making things up. Public sentiment shifting dramatically, the tide turning decisively against Lively. Public sentiment is incredibly fickle, and in an environment saturated with social media callouts, trust can dissolve overnight. Because Blake Lively had alienated the entire cast against him, she had convinced everyone that he was this monster, this terrible person. People demanded an explanation for why Lively painted Baldoni as some predator walking in unannounced, when by all indications, he had been explicitly told to come in. This revelation poked a gigantic hole in the entire foundation of Lively's lawsuit, exposing the alleged fabrications and manipulations at the heart of her legal strategy. If such a personal, disturbing claim could be so thoroughly dismantled, what else in her complaint might be exaggerated or outright fabricated? The question hung heavy in the air, casting a shadow of doubt over every aspect of Lively's narrative. Perhaps the most bewildering claim, one that outraged both fans and Hollywood watchers, was that Justin Baldoni wasn't permitted to attend his own movie premiere, a film he had conceived, developed, and poured his heart and soul into. If accurate, it illustrated a chilling power dynamic, a stark example of Lively, backed by Ryan Reynolds, wielding her influence with ruthless efficiency, effectively barring the very producer and lead actor from his own event. The story made its way through industry circles, spurring incredulity and anger. Studios, actors, and producers alike saw it as an ominous example of how a star's influence could be used to rewrite normal professional boundaries and overshadow rightful credits. Further reports hinted that entire sections of the creative team were pressured or influenced by Lively to exclude Baldoni and his family, solidifying the narrative of a calculated and systematic campaign to marginalize and discredit the film's director. This was the final straw for Sam Baldoni, the paternal instinct kicking into overdrive, recognizing the existential threat to his son's career and reputation. He understood that if they allowed the event to pass under Lively's control, Justin's film career could be severely hampered, possibly even derailed. In that context, Sam's public condemnation of Lively and Ryan Reynolds made even more sense. He was defending his son from what he perceived as an orchestrated attack on his livelihood. In Hollywood, relationships matter almost as much as talent. Agents, managers, studio execs, and casting directors tend to rally around marketable stars, but they also know that aligning with someone caught in a spiral of controversy can be a terrible business decision. The moment The Hollywood Reporter publicly made fun of Lively's lawsuit, industry folks got a clear signal. It was no longer career suicide to question or criticize Blake Lively. Suddenly, hush-hush conversations started happening at studio lunches and dinners. Casting directors expressed uncertainty about bringing her on to new projects, citing reputation management issues. Producers who had quietly frowned at her rumored behind-the-scenes meddling now had a legitimate excuse to pass her over. Even SAG-AFTRA, which had initially seemed sympathetic, particularly given the initial allegations of on-set misconduct, appeared to have pulled back, waiting to see if Lively's story would hold up. These desertions felt like a betrayal to some hardcore Lively fans, who had long idolized her as Hollywood's golden girl. But from a Hollywood business standpoint, they were all too predictable. The film industry can be a fair-weather friend, quick to drop someone at the first sign of irreparable scandal. Lively's miscalculations seemed to be believing that her star power alone would ensure total support, regardless of how shaky her claims might be. One of the more bizarre angles involved a leaked mention of Blake comparing herself to Daenerys Targaryen from Game of Thrones, calling Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift her dragons. That declaration set off a flurry of online commentary ranging from amusement to cringing disbelief. The idea that Lively envisioned herself as a regal, unstoppable queen who could command the biggest pop star on the planet and a beloved Hollywood actor as her personal defenders struck many as arrogant and delusional.